So China can take on all of us in manufacturing. Okay, now a lot of people are going to say, why is this even a problem? And the problem is that if in the case of a war or something, well, where the hell is the West going to get its weapons from? So there was this idea for a long time that globalization would come and fix everything. This is something that J.D. Vance was talking about in a recent speech at the, what was it called? The American Dynamism thing? The American Dynamism Summit hosted by Andreessen Horowitz, okay? And J.D. Vance comes out and goes, the idea of globalization was that rich countries would move further up the value chain while the poorer countries made the simpler things. You know, your iPhone would be made, would be designed in like America, but then it would be made and manufactured in places like China and India and so on. The whole idea behind this was, right, well, all the profits and all the hard-skilled, knowledge-based activities, the intellectual vigor would be done by people in the West who could afford university, and they would reap the profits, and then, you know, all the hard manual labor stuff would be left to those people in the on that eastern side of the world. But that didn't happen. China, I don't know why we even believe that would happen. Like, they're not dumb, they're just on the other side of the world. And what happened was China and India got really good at developing and manufacturing these things, so good that they're actually better than us now. I mean, look at these graphs, man. Look at the data I'm about to provide you with. I mean, this is something J.D. Vance admitted himself. Like, during World War II, America was a beast. America was churning out tanks, vehicles. America made 3 ships every 2 days during World War II. Fast forward to today, China has 50% of global shipbuilding, America has 0.1. So China can take on all of us in manufacturing. Okay, now a lot of people are going to say, why is this even a problem? And the problem is that if in the case of a war or something, well, where the hell is the West going to get its weapons from? You think China's gonna give us weapons as it attacks us? That's not gonna happen, man. You gotta be on something to believe that. So Vance is promising to bring industrial jobs back to the United States, and not just for this reason, but I think a large part because of this reason. So I'm gonna explore this today, and also I'm gonna look at the role of the brolagarchy or the technocracy. You know, the tech titans are playing in this whole new Cold War between the United States and China. It's gonna be a really great episode, but before we dive into it, do make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. You are watching a World Order Blue Label, yeah, where I talk about topical events in the world of geopolitics and macroeconomics. I also do the World Order Red Labels and the World Order Black Labels for those looking for more higher produced forms of storytelling, so do check those out once you're done with this video. Without further ado, let's dive into it. So there have been many who are critical of Vance and Trump's shift to the re-industrialisation. In an article by the Financial Times, the editorial board wrote that setting up factories will take several years, and companies are hesitant to do so given the constant changing nature of US politics and the tariffs. And I totally get this, by the way, but I just don't see the alternative. I honestly don't see it. What's the United States supposed to do in the event of a new catastrophe? Like, as I said before, it can't just go up to China and ask for goods when China's at war with it. And I'm not saying a war between China and the United States is inevitable, by the way. I think we want to do everything we can to avoid it. But look, historically, whenever one great power has fallen, which I think the United States is in the process of doing so right now, slowly. And that's not to dismiss the United States. I'm an optimist. I think the United States has a lot to offer. I'm very excited about the world of AI and stuff. I think there's still a lot. The United States have still got a lot going for it. I'm just saying that the trajectory looks, and look, maybe someone can prove me wrong. Maybe they can.
This is not a managed competition. This is a competition we must win.
When I look at the data, the trajectory seems to suggest that the United States is gradually, though it's still number one, it's gradually on the decline, and China is gradually on the up, despite some of the economic shocks it's having. There was an article in the Financial Times about this just the other day. I think that the long-term trajectory for China looks better than it does for America. Now, again, China, I think it's unlikely, but China could be another Japan. It could be this thing that just boomed for a bit and it could be going down. And look, if that's true, I'll hold my hands up and say fine. But I'm just saying I don't think that's going to be there. The one thing I will give America credit for, though, is the containment strategy. So America actually has a lot of great allies in that region. Now, maybe China can win them over with the goods it can produce, with the investment it can provide. You're already seeing that with China doing that to Australia and so on, though there's some reservations there too. But America still has a lot of allies like Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, so on, Australia, New Zealand. And, you know, also, if it can win over Russia. And that's its own story. I could talk all day about Russia and how, Russia, despite having lots of benefits from China, more benefits from China than it does from America, it still doesn't want China to become too powerful. So if America can work with its allies and potential partners to contain China, well then maybe it can contain China. Maybe it can keep China shackled down. We've already seen China break away with things like DeepSeek and so on. But if America can pursue a successful containment strategy, then America can remain number one. And also, look, I know I'm totally going against the argument I just put forward, but don't dismiss America, man. America's it's the cowboy nation with the innovators and the entrepreneurs and your Elon Musks and so on. And I get that China does this too, but really, that's America's game. That's what America excels at. It excels at innovating. It excels at putting people out on planets in space. So again, I'm optimistic. I want to believe that America can pull through and America can still be number one, man. I want to believe that Americans prove me right. Prove that you can still be that power, man. Prove that you're that country that can still make me cry whenever I listen to Radiohead's America song, man. Just do that for me again. Marco Rubio said this himself, dude. Marco Rubio said that in the future, when they write the book of the 21st century, yeah, there might be a couple of chapters on Putin, who, let's be honest, in the grand scheme of things, he's not the main villain, man. Putin is to the world what Jango Fett is to Star Wars. He's a really cool villain, but he's not the main villain. The main villain is Xi Jinping, man. And I've got a lot of respect for Xi Jinping and what he does, I'm starting to sound like Trump. I've got friends in China. No. But honestly, Xi Jinping clearly is doing something right. I've got so much respect for him. But as a Westerner, he's the one we should be keeping our eyes on, man. What the hell are we doing fighting Russia? We need Russia against China. And I bet you anything this is underpinning the Trump strategy right now. There's lots of talk about Trump doing a reverse Nixon. How he's going and doing that, you might see Trump in Red Square in a few months' time, maybe, and because the whole talk about he's kind of turning his back on Ukraine in order to make better relations with Russia, so that he can team up with Putin and then they go after Xi together. Now, again, I'm not saying that will definitely happen. If anything, I'm not sure it will happen, because realistically, what can America offer Russia that China can't offer Russia for cheaper? Since imposing sanctions on Russia after its initial attack on Ukraine in 2014, the annexation of Crimea, Russia's just moving steadily closer to China in so many ways. Okay, China's become the biggest importer of Russian oil and gas now. China's also aiding Russia's invasion of Ukraine. China sends so many things to Russia. China sells the body armor, technological parts, military parts, drones. China's helping Russia so many, and China's OP, man. China is so OP. It's not even funny. Let me get you some statistics on how OP China is right now, man. China makes $992 billion from trade, bro. Trade surplus. Okay, so this is after you take away everything it's lost from imports. It still makes $922 billion from exports, man. Look, again, I have so much faith in America. I'm so hyped for what America could become in 10 years' time. There are the doom and gloomers who say the decline is inevitable. I'm gonna take the position of optimist as well. I like to believe that there could be an AI miracle around the corner. I'm not saying what happens to AI won't be the same thing that happened to the internet, by the way, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, when everyone invested in it and suddenly went collapsed and no one made their returns right away. That could happen with AI. Honestly though, AI in 5 to 10 years time, it's going to be sick, man. Even if it ends up replacing all of us. You got to capitalize on it now whilst you still can. No, so I am, but the thing is, America's economy is also showing some worrying signs. Okay, so Trump's initiatives have caused, the tariffs are worrying investors. They're not even conducive to a healthy economic environment. It's led to inflation as well, which has made the bank put up the interest rates. It's not looking pretty right now. The general consensus seems to be that Trump is willing to forego short-term gains for the sake of a long-term development. A lot of people seem to be excited about Doge, but again, I was hyped for Doge. I was so hyped for Doge, right? But then when I looked into a little bit more, there's so many people who are skeptical about whether Elon Musk can actually make the cuts he's trying to make, or whether he can reach the 2 trillion target that he really wants to make. Unless he cuts Medicaid and Medicare, it doesn't look likely. I mean, a lot of people just don't see how he can. And even the tech stuff, man. So I was watching Bob Lighthizer on, what's he called? What's that guy who's really pro-Trump? Tucker Carlson, he did the Putin interview as well. It's not just Bob Lighthizer saying this. A lot of people seem to think that it will be a while before AI thoroughly takes off. There's lots of development in it right now. I'm going to talk about Stargate later on in this channel, in this video. It could be a while before you see the economic benefits of AI shine through. It could be like 5 years, man. It could be longer. And what could happen is China might see all this. Xi might see the West in peril right now, right? He might see a Europe that is just, in that latest data breach, pathetic, quotes there. And he might see an America that has some internal problems as well. And Xi might be seeing all this and he might go, you know what? Mind you, he has some problems of his own. But he might go, you know what? If we're going to take Taiwan, we should do it now. And he suddenly goes, and look, I'm just saying this is a hypothetical. This wasn't an article, by the way, by Andreessen Horowitz. So the conference J.D. Vance was at was called American Dynamism, and it was hosted by Andreessen Horowitz. And it's a really interesting website, dude. I watched this left-wing commentator called Geopolitical Economy Report. He's really critical of it. But, you know, as a center-right channel, I'm a little bit more optimistic about it. It's a really cool website, dude. Like, you go onto the website, and instantly, you feel like you're in a museum. You're instantly in, like, this, going through this tour of, like, American excellence since the 20th century, man. It's really, really cool. I'd highly recommend it. I'll put a link in the description for anyone who wants to check it out. They're these guys like bringing together like CEOs and politicians to talk about China and how they can combat China. Okay, now one of the good things is, I think this is great, by the way, because I am a little bit concerned about China. It's the competing great power, and if America just sits back and pretends like it's not a competing power, then we're going to eventually lose. I fear that if America isn't out dominating the world, then someone else is going to dominate the world, and eventually they're going to dominate us. And the question we have to ask is, would we rather be dominated by America, or would we rather be dominated by another country? Historically, America, right, has probably had the best record when it comes to dominating other countries. America has the best record of doing it. Like, if you compare it to something like the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany, I'd definitely take being dominated by America over any others. Hopefully one day, fingers crossed, I can go live there. That's like a dream. I want to be part of the most powerful country in the world. Why would you want to be anywhere else? I want to be innovating. I'm going to be the next Walt Disney. I'm telling you right now, wait until you see my Nixon epic and all the epics that come after that. I'm going to be to this century what Walt Disney was to the 20th. And when I do become that, I'd rather go and be making millions in America than stay here in the UK. Because when I love the UK, by the way. Very, very proud to be UK. But it just pains me when I think about the UK, because I think about how great an empire UK we used to be. And don't get me wrong, the empire was not perfect. It did a lot of atrocities. But it's better than just sitting on. It's better to be powerful than to be weak. I mean, let me know if you disagree. But seriously, I'd much rather be powerful than be weak. So I do long for a Britain that's more powerful. And when I look at Britain today, it's a mess. So I'd much rather go to the United States of America, 100%, because I want to be proud of my country. Anyway, that was a weird detour. I'm going to go back to the content. Look, so China might go for Taiwan, and if China goes for Taiwan, we're all screwed, because Taiwan makes 90% of the world's most valuable semiconductors, okay? So if China, like, just for a heads up for anyone who doesn't know, chips, semiconductors, they go in everything. Your phone, your laptop, your renewable energy, your electric car, everything we have, your freaking microwave, it requires chips, man, and we get all our chips from freaking Taiwan. And yes, Trump's and Biden first. I'm going to give Biden a little bit of credit here for taking this initiative. Oh man, I can't wait until I tell you the Chip Act of 2022, man, because that is such a big thing in the great game between China and America. By the way, we're in a Cold War with China, but I'll elaborate on this in the second part of the video. I forgot what I was saying now. Yeah, so look, Biden and now Trump, they're trying to bring industrializing back to America so that they can make more chips here and be less reliant on China, on Taiwan, and global supply chains more generally. It's better to produce that stuff more domestically, okay? And that way they're more resilient and less dependent on others who may become geopolitical rivals, right? And that's great, but that's going to take time. And people question how effectively it can be done in the United States as well, given the higher prices and the reluctance people have to pay people higher prices in America. Higher wages even. But the thing is, it has to be done, because if China takes Taiwan, I mean, what the hell are you going to do, right? And is America really willing to go to war with China over Taiwan? It's going to be like nuclear war, man. That's insane. Xi Jinping's just going to get the nukes out. He's going to just destroy people, man. He's going to destroy people. And that's not just Xi, by the way. That's like America too, man. I'd like to believe Trump is a peacemaker, but He could just as well go the other way, man. Do a Truman. Nah, man, I'm not gonna rip on Truman. Truman's my guy. Nah, Truman's, yes, he's my guy. No, I'm gonna do a story on Truman. So I am, again. Even they say when you start reading up on people, you start getting a bit more attached to them, and that has happened a bit with Truman. I'm getting a little bit more attached with him. But like, I'm not gonna lie. I think out of all the presidents I've studied, maybe, I don't know, I'm just a bit iffy on him. Anyway, let's get back to the story. In an interview with Voice of America, J.D. Vance admitted that Trump administration may reconcile differences with Putin so that it can focus on the danger coming from China. In an article released by Andreessen Horowitz, it says, "It's 2027, the world is on edge after years of posturing. The People's Republic of China launches an incursion into Taiwan. Within hours, global supply chains stall. Overnight, key materials destined for the US, including batteries, actuators, motors, and more are halted. TSMC, which produces 90% of the world's advanced semiconductor chips, goes dark, crippling industries from banking to defense. Essential research advancing fields like AI and biotechnology come to a standstill. Russia, sensing an opportunity, aligns with China and cuts off the gas exports, sending fuel prices skyrocketing. Markets plunge, inflation surges, the Indo-Pacific, the backbone of global commerce, is in chaos. It looks like this company, this venture capital company, are teaming and are bringing CEOs, business people, and politicians together to industrialize America to make itself more resilient from something like this. Now, for a lot of people on the left, they'll say that this entire narrative is just to distract you from the class war being waged in the Western countries between the rich and the poor. And don't get me wrong, whilst I primarily identify as center right, I admit that the left have a lot of justifiable grievances here. And, you know, the wealth gap has increased by a phenomenal amount. But at the same time, just simply dismiss this narrative as fake and non-existent is just ridiculous. Would you honestly have us just sit back and not do anything in the face of this rising power, which is culturally different? Don't get me wrong, again, I'm going to have my Trump moment here. I've got friends in China. Like, I've met so many fantastic Chinese people. I love Chinese people. But politically, it's a different geopolitical entity, and that is something that doesn't change. It doesn't matter what time you're born in. Go watch my video on how great an empire was America, where I basically explain my geopolitical outlook, my philosophical outlooks, which is, yes, geared towards conservatism, geared towards realism, geared towards the inevitability of tragedy, which I basically believe that at any point in time, there will inevitably be two different groups. You can never change that. And as a result, there will always be some degree of conflict. Does it have to spill over into war? No, and that's what I really hope it doesn't. But at the same time, I do believe that the best deterrence for a world war, having countries attack you at least, is to have your own beefed up, strong military force. And when I see things like the F-47 fighter jet, that fills me with pride again. I'm like, oh, nice, we're doing a good job there. The military's putting in a shift. We need people like that. Like, we need, like, I quite liked when Hegseth came out and promoted that. Okay, attack me all you want. I did. I think we're a bit more secure when we produce things like that. And again, I say we because I'm talking about Western civilization here. Okay, that's my ultimate group. Okay, that's who I'm championing. That's who I'm supporting. The extent to which the Industrial Renaissance will actually come about, it could be a topic for another video, because there are lots of economists who doubt that. Okay, and I can talk a lot more about that specific project in an upcoming video. Okay, for the time being, let's go back to this great power politics story. I'm going to talk a little bit more about J.D. Vance, because this guy's interesting, man. Okay, like, this video is really about Trump and Vance, and Vance is like, he's really interesting because this is a guy from like Ohio. Okay, was it Middletown? Was he born in Middletown, Ohio? This is like Rust Belt America, man. Like, no, like, and this guy somehow works his way up and goes to Yale, man. He serves for the US Marine Corps in Iraq before going to Yale and getting a degree in law. He then graduates and then works for Mithril Capital, a venture capital firm co-founded by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is super interesting, man. Peter Thiel is one of those dark figures behind the scenes, like pulling the strings. I looked at his net worth. It's not as much as like a Musk or a Bezos or someone. He's still mega rich. He's still in that billionaire club, so he's mega rich, man. But he's got power in other ways, man. So this is the guy who brought up J.D. Vance. Vance was his protege. Vance was his apprentice, yeah. And Peter Thiel was the guy who gave him all these ideas. So, it was Peter Thiel who became his mentor and exposed him to libertarianism, nationalism, and techno-futurism. So that itself would be its own video, man. Like the ideas influencing J.D. Vance. When Vance ran for Senate in 2022, Thiel donated $15 million to his super PAC, okay, largest single donor contribution to a future vice president in history. And then J.D. Vance subsequently becomes Donald Trump's vice president. But he's part of a super well-connected network, man. These guys, and this is the thing, look at the people J.D. Vance is connected with, man. Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, Eric Schmidt, okay, former Google CEO, Mark Lazary, Tucker Carlson, and like this is like a proper like tight-knit group, and it's like the tech bros have got their guy in Washington, and no doubt he's playing a role in influencing Trump's tech policies and the rise of the technological industrial complex as well. This is so good, man. This is so sick, man. So sick. These guys are just ballers, man. They play the game so well, man. Freaking Zuckerberg, man. You can hate him all you want. The guy was a billionaire in his 20s, man. How many other people do you know who did that, man? What, like J.D. Rockefeller for his time, maybe? Like, Zuck is on one. I get that he's, like, if you watch Social Network, like, they make the claim that he stole the ideas, okay? But still, man, this guy's a ruthless player. He plays the game, man. And plus, those twins who got Facebook nicked off them, they're doing super well nowadays anyway. Tyler Winklevoss. Cameron Winklevoss. Man, those guys are so big, man. Those guys are so hench, man. So look, let's take a deeper look at some of these tech bros, man, because they're serious players in the new Cold War. They're helping Trump try to win this battle, man. And there's evidence for this. Let me show you some of this stuff, man. I'm going to start off with Sam Altman. So Sam Altman, who's like another Zuck, he's like this really young guy who's made $1 billion. And he's also, the founder of ChatGPT, which I use like religiously. I love ChatGPT, so thank you, Sam Altman, for ChatGPT. He was one of the first guests to come and speak at the White House during Trump's inauguration week. He's working with Trump to set up this thing called Stargate. Okay, so Stargate is a $500 billion project. Yeah. $500 billion, guys. Just to put that in perspective, the Manhattan Project, yeah, was $30 billion. Yeah, so this is like way more than the nuclear bomb project, man. Shows what a time we live, man. He's working with NVIDIA and Microsoft and possibly the US government to build this network of super AI, this massive network of AI supercomputers, data centers, advanced semiconductor infrastructure. And all in all, this is going to accelerate America's charge towards AGI, which Altman markets as humanity's last ever invention, okay, because the implication being from that point on, the AI will do everything itself. And then we do have rise of the machines, well and truly rise of the machines, which is kind of a good thing and a bad thing, especially bad if it takes over and like destroys all of us. Human beings are really going to have to think very hard about what we do for a living. But the US has worked with a lot of these AI companies to restrict semiconductor firms like NVIDIA and Intel from exporting AI chips to China. In 2022 and 2023, it severely limited China's ability to access high-performance GPUs necessary for AI development. This is Biden as well, man. Trump was the one who really started some tension with China in his first administration, but then Biden comes and takes a lot of Trump's sentiments further and enacts policy against China. NVIDIA, for instance, had to create modified versions of its AI chips just so that it could still sell to China. But then in October 2023, the US further tightened restrictions, banning even these modified chips. While the official justification is national security, critics argue that this benefits US tech giants by eliminating Chinese competition in AI development and cloud computing services. They're playing the game, guys. They're playing the game. There are parallels between the tech industry and the military-industrial complex. You know how the military-industrial complex is like 5 or 6 companies who just dominate the entire thing? You have the same thing with tech now, with the Magnificent Seven, who just dominate everything. They set up their cloud fiefs and you just operate on it. Every time you make a video on YouTube, every time you release, you get big off one of these platforms, you give a certain cut to these platforms, man. King Musk, King Zuck. Techno-feudalism, go read the book if you haven't already, Yanis Varoufakis. I'm not neglecting the danger posed by monopoly, by the way. I know that it can impair true capitalism and true market competition. I'm just saying that these tech guys clearly are serving Trump and serving the US in some capacity. My only hope is that eventually some politicians, if they have any backbone left, is pressuring them to help the society at large as well. There's evidence that Facebook lobbied US lawmakers against TikTok. Leaked documents reveal that Facebook hired a lobbying firm to push narratives that TikTok posed a national security threat while downplaying Facebook's own privacy violations. You know what would be a great video is whether TikTok actually poses a danger to US national security. Because there is this argument that when you use TikTok, it gives the company permission to access all your data, which it then passes on to China. But then some people downplay it and say it's not even that big a risk, and they say really this is about the tech bros wanting to control the market, the tech market, and not giving TikTok any leverage there. Google lobbied the US government to blacklist Huawei, one of its key competitors in mobile operating systems, and this led to Huawei being cut off from Google's Android system in 2019. Trump appears to be tit for tat though, man. Like, if there's evidence suggesting that these companies were banned from China, well then maybe it is fair that Trump bans these Chinese companies from operating in America, because one of Trump's biggest criticisms was, why are we allowing them to come here and then they don't allow us to go over there and set up our companies? And you know what, is that not fair? I mean, I don't know, let me know if you disagree. But guys, you know what, I'm gonna actually elaborate on this in another video. I just think the role of the tech titans, I think their role in helping the Trump administration in this new Cold War, it is its own video, or like a part 2 to this video, okay? I want to do something on Vance and his and the ideas he has. I think that could be very interesting. And guys, if you've enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up, do give it a like, and do subscribe. World Order is a multimedia company, yeah? I do the World Order show. This is a show that comes out once a week, and again, I discuss all things geopolitics and industry and economics. But I also do the World Order Red Labels, which are like mini documentaries, and I do my pride and joy, the World Order Black Labels, where I take famous geopolitical figures and retell their stories as epic works of action, adventure, sci-fi, fantasy, and opera. It is my goal with the Black Label series to leave you with the same feeling I had when I was a 7-year-old boy watching Star Wars for the first time, okay? And believe me, it's going to take off. It's only a matter of time before those t-shirts start coming out, before those action figures start coming out, man. You're going to get more enmeshed in the World Order universe. I'm very excited for the saga. Nixon and Kissinger stories are coming out very soon. Hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on those. Guys, thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you all in the comments below. Bye bye.